Courtney, have you ever gotten so absurdly mad at something ridiculous all because you were on your period?
Indeed, I have, Annalise. The other day, I got mad that someone in particular existed in the same town as me. I was very frustrated by it.
I mean, when you have your period, just people breathing, people existing, people living everyday normal lives will piss you off. But what we have learned in today's interview is this is normal. There is stuff behind it. We have 4 different stages in our cycle, and depending on where you are in this cycle, you're going to feel differently and you need to take care of yourself differently.
And there's a reason for the way that we are.
Yes. So yeah, today we have Dawn Marie. She's a farm wife to her farmin hubby and a farm mama to 3 girls. She's living her best life in the Midwest of rural Iowa. Dawn is a holistic lifestyle mentor and podcast host of Harvesting Her Way. She helps women live their most authentic lives for themselves and for their families. She utilizes your cycle and unique human design to help walk you through ways to connect with your inner desires in life and how to lean into action of living your purpose. So let's get to it. Here's Dawn. Look at us.
Look at us. We're just a couple of rural gals trying to create community and entertain. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Annalise, and we're Egg's most okayest farm girls. Grab a drink. We're here to help. Courtney, Dawn, hello, friends. Are we ready to talk about our periods?
Heck yeah, let's do it.
Giddy up. Great topic. Dawn, tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do.
I am Dawn Kress, or not formally known, that is my name, Dawn Marie Co. on anything social. You know, I'm branded that way. So I am a rural mom of 3 girls, and I help people with holistic lifestyle mentoring. So what that sounds not as wooey as what the title sounds like is just owning who you are as an individual, to understand who the heck you are, to understand and know what you want. So specifically today, we're going to dive into our cycle and hopefully not hate our period. Maybe we can just blame it. Like, we're not crazy. There's a reason like why we're crazy. It's because we have a period. So
yeah,
that song, I Get Crazy. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
We wanted to have you on because it wasn't that long ago that Courtney and I were recording together a different episode, and we got done recording and we were both like, that was shit. That was absolute shit. We suck. What are we doing with our lives? And then we came to realize we both had our periods. And I was like, oh, there is something to this. I think Dawn is the person we need to have on the podcast.
Dawn, the period girl.
I'm honored. When people think of their period, they're like, oh, let's talk to Dawn. Let's talk to her.
Yeah. I cannot wait for you to make me somehow magically love my period. So let's get into it.
Let's do this, right? So I was a little like crunchy or more salty, I guess. I was salty. I get those confused. You know, I'm just not trendy like that. I got salty when I found out about this because it's like, what the F? Like, how am I, after 3 kids and, grew up a dairy farmer, like we have hogs ourselves. So of course we know when sows are ovulating and all of that jazz, but did not know any of this stuff as a human, as a woman that has a menstrual cycle, right? And so I was like early 30s when I found this out, and it was just accidental through business coaching. Like, that was part of the program, was to understand that. So then you could efficiently like plan your day or like organize your business when you're like your best self. And I was like, hell yes, that sounds great. And I thought, oh, it's just going to be the same crap that I've heard before. No, like mind blown. So like I said, I was a little salty towards, what is it? Like in 5th or 6th grade when you have the period talk at school. And I'm like, why didn't that bitch tell me that then? Like, they just make you hate your period. Like, oh yeah, this is going to suck. And then you have to be discreet with all of this stuff. Well, it's actually like there's a lot of power in your period. Okay. So to go off of your guys' little situation, which is funny that you guys have like synced up on your cycle already. Most times it's like roommates or people that live together. So this is good for you, right? When you're menstrual, like both sides of your brain are like working optimally. So brain power is great, but verbal skills, shit, like absolute shit. So that's why you probably were like, well, that didn't work out very well because your brain's just going so fast that your mouth can't keep up. So honestly, if you guys plan these out during your ovulation, is the best time to do podcasting, any speaking engagements. We can't like plan everything in life. But when you get a choice of like, when does this work for you? Look at your old calendar and plug that stuff in. So
much sense. I can tell when I am feeling on fire or when I'm not. So do you want to just break down the 4 cycles? Is that what you call it?
Yep. So there's 4 phases in the cycle. It's kind of ironic that men also have this. So it's not just us, but theirs is a 24-hour cycle. Boom. Like ours takes 28 to 30 days, depending, how long your period is. But men go through this every 24 hours. So it's like, I knew you were an asshole at like 3 p.m. Right? Yeah, that's their like luteal period, like their PMS time.
Right? All of us are like mind blown right now. I did not know this.
You're welcome.
Wait, this makes so much sense though, because my husband is always cranky after like 7 p.m. But he's in a really good mood earlier in the day.
Yeah, totally happens. And it's not to like bash like, oh, we live in a man's world because, let's face it, we already know that. But happy hour, that's the reason why it's from like 4 to 6 is because that's when it's best for men. Or work hours, that's why that was created for like 8 to 5 because that's their like zoned in best time of the day for them. And it's like, well, that shit don't work for me all the time. Like depends on the week. Depends on the week.
Right.
I have a hate fire inside of me right now.
I love your faces right now. It is my favorite to share this just because I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy because everybody else's mind is blown when I share this because it's crazy. It's like the CIA is keeping this shit under locks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is no one teaching us this? Like you were talking a little bit earlier about, yes, 5th grade, we learn we're going to get our periods and they're just like, here's a tampon. But like they should be talking about the different cycles
Phases.
And like, hey,
yes.
for the different stages. Like, hey, here's when you should be doing this and here's when you should be relaxing. And,
yes,
it's powerful information.
Also, what bothers me is why do we have to be so discreet about it all the time? Everyone gets it.
Yep.
Every woman. And then apparently men, this too.
And men just don't bleed, right? They don't have that crap.
Right.
Bullshit.
Or drop an egg. That would be really funny, though, if they did. But anyway,
and
sorry,
it'd be
Dawn.
awesome if it was more like a chicken, Like, let's make it embarrassing where they have to, like, literally lay an egg. Like, that would be
yes.
That would be great. But yeah, so when I started this, I was like, okay, how do I figure this out? And it was very confusing because, we change every week. There is like, Dawn is a different human being every single week. So when I started out, I just put it on my calendar once I knew when I was having a period. Because of course, when I started it, I had like an IUD in. So, things are a little muffled. You really don't know when stuff's happening because you're just on a hormone that keeps you like flatlined. So you're not crazy, bitch. Like you're just, I don't know how much I can swear on here, but it's happening. I'm luteal. So I'm feisty. Okay. So yeah, the PMS type. That's how I started was just like, okay, when am I having a period? Just to keep it simple math. I'm doing like every 7 days. So then you're just tracking that month. That was still kind of confusing to my small pea brain. And so then I'm like, okay, how come I keep mixing all these cycles up? Because it's menstrual, then it's follicular, ovulation, and then luteal. So for me, I was like, I can't keep this shit straight. So I think of it more as seasons. So when you're bleeding, that's like winter, right? You're dormant. You don't want to do anything. There's hardly any daylight. You're just not very social. You cancel things in the winter because you can blame it on the weather, right? It's cold, it's yucky. In the winter, we don't want to do anything. So that's your period, okay? Then after that comes spring, which is our follicular phase. So you're like starting to wake up, like think of Bambi, like spring is happening. You're wanting to be social. You want to do more things. Then from follicular goes ovulation. So 2 happy times right next to each other, which is great. It goes into summer. So that's like party mode. Like girls just want to have fun. Like we are on the boat. We want to be like awake at all times because there's so much sun. And that's when we can talk, we can socialize. We're just nice humans, right? And then comes fall, which honestly, like I love fall personally, but in this metaphor, I hate fall. Like luteal right now, like I'm a sloth. I'm slower. I'm a little sluggish. The synapses between my cells are not like firing as quick. So I just feel like bleh. It's also a time like you can sync it up to how you work out, how you function, like relationships. foods, like so many things. But I just started small with like understanding who am I each freaking week. So then I knew, okay, does it make sense to commit when people are like, oh, let's go on a summer vacation or, you know, like a spring break vacation? Well, if you're luteal or menstrual, not to say you can't do it, but that's not really ideal when you're wanting to be social. So if you have any control in your schedule of those things, that's when you're like, oh, well, how about we do it on this week where it's more follicular ovulation and then you're more happy.
So basically, Annalise, we have to like batch all of our episodes when we're ovulating.
Yes. Follicular is great too. So you got 2 weeks. You know?
Okay.
Right.
And then if you did any of your editing, that's when it's perfect to do during like luteal or menstrual because you're more analytical. Like you're more a little bitey. You know, like makes sense when you're like PMSing where they're like, wow, you're kind of a raging bee. Well, that's because you're very analytical and you're just a little extra critical of yourself and everybody around you. So it makes sense. So we're not crazy. Like I feel like I get to give that permission slip to everybody when I tell them about their cycle. Like, see, you aren't crazy. Like this is normal, but everybody in society makes us feel like we're crazy, that we just don't like, we're not happy all the time, or we're not like endless energy all the time. We're not supposed to.
Oh, you're making me feel so good right now.
Yeah. Courtney and I were talking this morning about, tell us if we're wrong, the ovulation cycle. What did, Courtney, didn't you hear? Like we seem more
apparently so yes, you're supposed to, and even like the symmetry of your face like changes to make you more attractive. That's what I heard from a biologist.
I love that. Well, if it's from a biologist, we got to believe that. I don't know that for sure, so I can't confirm that. You do give off like a better energy, so you're like more magnetic to people. So great time for like masterminds, retreats, because you're more bubbly and outgoing and you just like naturally connect with other people and you can speak without sounding like an idiot.
I'm on the idiot phase right now, so forgive me.
Dawn, I know you gave like the season analogy to each stage, but if you had to pick a song for each phase, what song would you pick?
Yes. So follicular, well, let's start like menstrual. Okay, so that's guys, when we start our periods, this is probably funny and just dates me, but I think of like It's All Coming Back to Me Now by Celine Dion.
Ooh, all right, let me play it. Hold on, guys. Is this the right one?
This is it. It's like the drama, right? Like
this is a very long intro.
It is very, it seems longer than I remember. It seems like she should be like saying some lyrics by now.
I'm waiting for Annalise to start singing it.
No, you don't want that to happen. That one checks out. I feel that. I'm feeling the, spring vibes, feeling yourself again.
No, that is like, that's the menstrual. So that's like the darkness.
Darkness.
That's kind of like the darkness. The Celine Dion, like, oh, it's all coming back to me of like, I know I'm supposed to just like sleep and be dormant. It just kind of reminds me of like, that's your time to hibernate. Like, take naps.
All right. What's the next one?
So follicular, I don't remember which one we landed on for sure, but like Back in Black was definitely like, but I got a couple of them that could go with that. That is my favorite phase because you were like, I'm back. Like, I am a human again. I have a pulse.
Yeah.
It's like, let's party, right?
Okay. Summer vibes.
I like it.
And in Iowa, for the University of Iowa, that's always the kickoff song, which then somebody once told me, they're like, Dawn, that's like every university's football kickoff song. But I'm like, I don't care. Like, Iowa's owning it because they are black and gold. And so, yeah, it just like backs you up. So that is spring, follicular in spring. And then ovulation is the summer. I know Annalise is just dying for summer.
Here.
Yes, that's all good because it is. It's so confusing at first, but then it's like it starts to like sink in, especially when you feel like what you're feeling. Then you're like, oh, I get it. So ovulation, girls just want to have fun.
Oh, yeah.
I also thought maybe Sexy Back could apply to this phase.
Yes. Any Usher song too, I feel like would be fitting for that, where you're like hitting the club. Like, let's do this. Like, I have a pulse again.
Okay. And then the last phase or stage, I think I actually had this one picked out.
Yes, you luteal phase going into fall. You nailed this one.
It's just one of those Everybody sucks.
PMS, relate. Everybody sucks. Everybody, like even your grandma that you love dearly, she sucks. Like
She be annoying you.
we hate everybody during luteal. That's why it was funny that I'm in luteal phase and then I use Stardust, I believe it is, an app, totally free. That helps too. So then you don't have to be like, okay, what am I now? What am I now? But I do like to put my phases in my calendar. So then when I'm going to plan something, it makes sense. But yeah, Stardust is a great one. But it was hilarious that it was like minimal human action today would be good for you. And I was like, well, good thing I work by myself in my basement until this interview because I am not liking the people today. Aren't you so glad you have me as a guest today?
Yes.
I love it. I love everything.
So dark, so dark.
So yeah, what else, I mean, can people benefit from knowing this or working for you? What else do you offer?
Yeah, so I like to have the intro part of it because it is so cumbersome. So I have like self-led video course that people can take called Synced because I really feel like it's like syncing up with your life. So it's what your body is already doing naturally. We're just trying to get on board, you know, instead of fighting against it all the time. So like you said, sometimes when you're recording, it is just not happening. Well, if we know this now, we just try to plan it for another time. Yes, I do have that offer always out there for people to take just to kind of get that, okay, why does this matter? You know, and it also goes into like what foods you probably gravitate towards during those phases because it is a big difference like how we eat, like our body just needs things differently each week. So a cold salad right now during my luteal or going into menstrual sounds awful, like which I don't know how often people are like, yay, salad. But warm foods like stews, stir fries, anything warm, awesome. Like it's like comfort food time because then it's not as hard for our bodies to break it down, aka maybe not making us as angry. I don't know, but it makes sense. But then on the flip side, during spring and summer, your cold like salads, I don't know, like raw vegetables, great for those times and also good for the acne that comes after that. Cause I don't know if I'm the only one that it's like lovely, you know, mid 30s. Like, why am I breaking out? I'm like, I'm not puberty anymore.
I thought we were too old for this.
Right. Yes.
I know. My kids even ask me, they're like, aren't you old for pimples, mommy?
And
I'm like, shut up.
I am a picker and Sage will like, Mom, stop picking it. And I was like, you are 6. You don't even know. Let me pick my zit.
Don't tell me what to do.
Yes. And especially if you're luteal, it's just like, rawr, like instantly like the bear. But yeah, Annalise, just wait until that little one starts to watch the beauty YouTube crap on. Oh yeah, she'll tell you all about your skin regimen. And it's like, what the hell? Like I got 2 of those right now. And I'm like, okay, duly noted. Thank you. I think, I don't know.
Girls their daughters are mean. Like they are critical. They will tell you what is up.
Yes. And that's another reason why I think it's so important to know your cycle because it's like we're raising the next generation. So like you said, Courtney, like why does like the period have to be like so shamed about when it's every freaking mammal has it? Big deal. So I felt like after I learned my cycle, I was like, I'm stepping into the confidence where I'm like, I'm not, if I drop my tampon, you know, obviously like wrapped one package, not the nasty. Yeah, I'm not going to hide it because it's like big deal. Like, you know, I do reproduce. I've had 3 babies. Which one, you know, after you've had 3 babies, you.
Yeah. No, there's definitely power. Knowledge.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that's kind of helped when I have to have that talk with my girls where it's like, yeah, it just is what it is. Instead of being like, oh, we got to like hush and put it in a separate baggie. So, you know, nobody knows what's in that baggie. It's like every other girl that's in your class is going to know they like need those supplies too. So it's like
another question I have back to like, you know, what foods you crave, which phase. If men are going through this in 24 hours, did they also have different cravings within 24 hours?
I don't know. It could be.
I'm going to have to start logging, Tom. I'm going to start watching 8 a.m. Ate a donut. A little crabby.
I love that.
I can't wait to report back to Aaron and tell him all of this.
Yes. Well, and it was funny as I was tracking it, and I was like, I'd start to snap at Ryan because, like, we're a little testy during that luteal menstrual phase. I would actually apologize because before I'd be like, what kind of serial killer are you? You just left the door open. Like, why would you do that? And then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm luteal. And he's like, what? Like it was witchcraft. And I'm like, it's just who I am this week.
Just who I am. It's so funny that you brought that up because Courtney and I actually asked our Instagram followers, like, what's the craziest thing you've gotten mad about when you were on your period? Maybe we should share some of those right now.
I would love to hear those.
So the question was, what's something you've gotten like just ridiculously mad about because you were on your period? And I have my husband doing the dishes wrong. He did the dishes. You psycho, leave him be. But she was still just mad at the way he did them. Somebody else wrote, I bawled my eyes out last Saturday because my massage got canceled.
I think that one's
That's
warranted
valid.
no matter what, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This one, she wrote, my husband leaving without saying, have a good day, babe, legit pissed me off.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one that thinks these things or says them.
We're not crazy. We aren't crazy.
I got a lot of like my husband breathing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got one like that too.
I'm telling you, he breathes louder. I think that might be science.
I think you guys just have like heightened hearing during that time. Yeah, where you can hear a pin drop, but it's like, why are you breathing?
My husband was getting dressed and his pants were loud. I got mad because of loud pants.
I don't think I've ever heard that one. That's pretty good.
That's great.
This person got mad because her husband hugged her after she asked him for a hug.
Okay, we are crazy. Yeah, I can see it. I can see why they think we're crazy.
This one was warranted. My husband ate the rest of the ice cream. I had planned on eating it after class, but he finished it.
Son of a bitch.
Same with like Girl Scout cookies. Just don't touch them. Yeah. And is it
Yeah.
funny that all of them are, because that you specifically asked, what did you get mad at your husband about?
No, I just said
Oh, just
bad.
I think it's funny that we've all put in husband related items. Like they're the first on the chopping block, like, because they're just right there.
Mm-hmm.
Poor guys.
The curtains didn't open aesthetically pleasing, and I got really mad. But it's just like that feeling of when you've already had a rough day and you're on the edge, and then you do something like stub your toe, just lose it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yes.
The
Or
rain.
like your jacket or sweatshirt gets caught on the door handle and you're just like, no.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy because, like, scientifically, which I'm not like, it's just from resources that I know, you're low estrogen and progesterone. So, like, everything is just so suppressed. It's surprising that we have that rage, like, instantly, because you'd think it would just be like Eeyore, where it was like, whatever, you know? Like, it's too much energy to exert anger at this point. But nope, the anger is still valid and right there.
I got very similar ones to you, Annalise. I got the hubby ate the last of the crackers. I almost cried. And the must you breathe? And I meant to say so loudly, but just ended it there. And she said, no regrets.
I love your guys' audiences. They're the best.
They are.
They really
It's
are.
really fun, that people like contribute and share their stories because that's what really unites us. That's what makes it fun. So we're glad they're jumping on board with us. We're gonna have to think of a name for our following, Courtney. Okay,
Yeah.
girl. I don't know what we're gonna call
Oh,
it.
yeah. You gotta have a catchy little name like the
Mhm.
Discos, like
Right.
the Okies.
We'll
Is
think
kinda
on
cute.
it.
Even though you're not from Oklahoma, but you know, the Okies.
Dawn, anything else on cycles that you want to chat about or think is important or that people need to know?
There's so much important stuff, but I feel like it gets overwhelming and then people are like, nope, I'm not even going to go there because it's more work.
Mhm.
Honestly, just knowing what your cycle is, even if you're on a birth control or something, like starting to track, like using that free, what did I call it? Starburst, star
I
something.
think it's Stardust. Yeah.
Stardust. There we go. Thank you. Is helpful. And then putting that on your calendar. So then you can plan around like your craziness, I guess. And then it just aligns. So I think that is just so important of just understanding it rather than the shame that we hold.
Yeah.
Why am I this way? Where it's just like, it's just biology. Like it just is what it is. Because once you start syncing up with your cycle, with your life, you don't feel as shameful. You don't feel as crazy. Like you recognize when these like impulses are coming on and you're kind of a nicer person.
Yeah. And you can take care of yourself in the way that you
Yes. Right. So if you need a nap, then you don't feel guilty because then you're like, oh, totally makes sense. Like I was really busy and cranking out a lot of things the last few days, and I am in that whole fall winter phase. I just need a 20-minute nap. It's okay to nap. Like it's just like almost like giving yourself permission to be who you are.
Yeah. Anyone listening, go get that app, start tracking, check out Dawn on Instagram. You'll be able to learn if you want to like dive deeper or connect with her. And then we're also all getting journals to track the men in our life and see what's up with them. I'll be doing that. Everybody stay tuned.
I will be Googling more about this.
Yeah.
Men and their cycles because I need to know.
Yeah. We can't be the only freaks. This is...
The world is just accustomed to theirs, you know, so that's why we're the outcast.
Yeah.
Like they've already been
revolves
accepted in.
around there. Yeah.
It literally revolves around them. Yes. So yeah, anybody that's interested in just kind of getting started, my synced online course is perfect for that.
Other cool thing that you do is human design. You're familiar with it?
Yes, I use it. So like, I feel like all of these are just tools. Like I was starting to collect because when I was in corporate, you know, we'd have like these personality tests that people would want you to do, or then there would be conferences that I'd get to attend because I was a part of a large corporation. And I was like, dang, this is interesting to like understand why I am the way I am, because I would always think, oh, I need, like, I'm in sales. I need to be like the woo, like the wow girl. And I'm just not. Like, I'm more of the chill, laid back, like girl next door, or like half of my farmer customers. It felt like they were just like an extra uncle, you know? So I was like their niece. And I was just always like, that's just not me to be like, boom, like when you think of a salesperson to just be like, on it and all of that stuff. I was more resourceful. So I feel like the human design, and that's all about just like who you are in this world. It's based off your birth date, the time you were born, and the location that you were born in. And it gives you like your energy type, even helps with like knowing your best digestion. Or my favorite is how to make decisions best. Because I would always think like, oh, you just got to make that decision with the gut. Well, I'm an emotional decision maker. And so I have to like ride my emotions, which pisses me off because I'm like, no, I want to be able to like answer, you know, or commit to something right away. And so I have to be like, oh, does this sound really fun? Or and then kind of like, oh, does this make sense? And then once I get to that even like middle of the ground, then I can make a smart decision on like a yes or no to a commitment of things. So that the Enneagram, all of those are just amazing tools to understand who we are, and honestly to, you know, make us feel like we're not crazy. Like it just explains who we are so we can live with that rather than against it. Because it feels like we're constantly at odds with ourselves, and then we don't trust ourselves, and, you know, maybe we hold back or don't chase things or want to be more involved or can't stick up for ourselves if we don't want to be more involved in the farm. Like there's all the spectrums, but it just helps understand who the heck you are.
Yeah, I actually had my human design profile done by Leah McLeod. I don't know if you follow her. It's the design of you on Instagram. And yeah, all you have to do is you send in your birth date, and then you get this whole profile and wealth of information based upon, like the day you were born, where you were born, and the energy in the world, I guess.
It gives you your energy type. Yeah. So it's like based off your time too. So that's a lot of like the hardest thing for a lot of people, because they're like, oh, I got to dig out my birth certificate to know what time I was born. There's even like the free app, My Human Design by like Jenna Zoe. Amazing. So good. Just a wealth of knowledge to kind of start to understand what that all is. But yeah, I just think they're gold. Like even the Enneagram's kind of a more popular one to understand your motivators for things, but it doesn't mean that we have to do them all. It's just, they're all great tools to have in your toolbox for whatever one kind of like calls to you. So yeah, it felt like last year, everybody I would have on the podcast, and I think you were one of them, like I'd be like, ooh, like I was trying to like guess everybody's energy type. And then they were like, I'm going to go check this out. Like I got to know.
So, Annalise, when you got like that human design report back, was it pretty spot on?
Oh my God, it was freaky. So spot on. Yeah, I guess it's like if astrology and the Enneagram had a baby almost.
Yes, that is a good comparison.
It's cool. I recommend doing it. I learned so much. And like Dawn said, it just gives you that peace of mind again of like, I'm not a weirdo. This is who I am.
This is why.
Give me. Yeah. Why I do certain things, and again, empowers you to be yourself and just conquer the world.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like you said, it'll be like an aha moment of like, yes, I know this about myself, but it's that confirmation of like, there's something else telling me this too. So then you're not second guessing it. Oh, like how if I'm not myself, not my true self, like living in my aligned energy, I get frustrated. Well, I just thought I was meant to be frustrated all the time. So it gave me permission to understand, like, okay, when something was meant for me and when it wasn't. Because if it was like constantly going to frustrate me, then obviously I'm not doing what I was meant to do to be like my highest self.
Because there's 4 energy types within human design, correct?
Yes, 4 or 5. So there's projectors, which there's less of those. I have a daughter that's a projector and it scares the shit out of me because it's like that energy type. They have to be more like invited in. Generator, that's what I am. And that's what like a ton of the population is. So we just are like constantly thinking of ideas. Probably makes sense on why like my entrepreneurship is like tenfold, where like every other week I might just think of a new business, but I need other people to help me execute it. And then there's Manny Gens where they can just visualize and see it all out. They're not necessarily like the laborer type, but they're like the visionary. And then reflectors, which I've not met a reflector yet. It almost sounds like, you know, it's like a new species, but there's less of those out there.
They're rare, a rare breed.
They're rare.
I am a Manny Gen.
Yes. Very cool.
Yeah, you should. So back to the Enneagram, guess our types. Do you know what yours is, Courtney? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I've taken the test like every year just to see, and I always get the same one. So it is spot on.
I didn't like it at first because I was like, I didn't understand. And I felt like I was like all of them, like a little bit of them. Taryn Drelling, have you guys like follow her?
Yep.
She's amazing. I took one of her courses and then she recommends The Road Back to You. That book helped me understand like what one I actually am and like the different wings and stuff like that. So I'm the challenger and that nails me to a T. I'm always like testing, you know, authority and all of that stuff. So I'm trying to think like my husband is a perfectionist. Like I was reading all the questions and I was like, oh, hun, like just say yes or no to some of this crap that I'm going to ask you. And he was like, yes, 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 yes. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much you in a nutshell. Like you are perfectly the one.
That's my husband too.
Yeah. What are you? What number are you guys?
I'm a 3.
And what's the name of that one? I can't remember.
3 is an achiever.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
What are you, Courtney?
I am type 5, the investigator.
Ooh. Look at you.
That's a good like combo you guys got going on there. It's always good to like do that with your spouse or any business partners because then you know how you complement each other.
Yeah.
Same, like not to like keep flipping back to different things, but a couple people that I'm mentoring right now that are small business owners, I thought they were polar opposites. They're human design. They are identical. Like they are both projectors, but since they are so much alike, they were butting heads and not understanding each other because they both needed the same thing. And they were the same. So it was like, oh, I thought, oh, this will be easy to like help them see through it. Well, at first it was like, no, you guys got to recognize that somebody has to invite the other one because they don't feel included until they're like actually physically invited into something. Otherwise, they kind of stay on the outside. It's crazy how much it affects like, you know, business partners, farming operations. But, you know, most times the guys are kind of like, don't come at me with that wooey stuff. And it's like, I know it sounds wooey, but you got to know it. And maybe you'll kind of appreciate each other a little bit because you got these characteristics that can actually be good together.
Yeah, I am here for the woo. It really can help you with your marriage, with your business relationship, so many things. If you know what type or what Enneagram each person is, you can just communicate more effectively.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it has saved my marriage, like me knowing my cycle, because then I'm not projecting onto him, like, you're the reason why I'm angry. And it's like, no, it's just what's going on. And yeah, all of those other things, I just know who I am now. So my expectations are so much different. It just feels like all of us are just walking nomads, like projecting on to other people what we want, but we just don't understand ourselves. So it's just like kind of a limbo.
Have you guys tried to get your husbands to take the Enneagram type tests?
Oh, yeah.
And did they?
Yes.
Aaron would not sit down and do it. I was like, I'll ask you the questions, just answer them. He's like, I don't have time for this.
Yep.
You're such
He definitely sounds like that number one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Tom's also a 5, right? That's the investigator? That's what you were. Yep, Tom is also that.
Maybe that's why he was more open to taking it, huh? Because my husband's that same. He was like, absolutely not. So that's why I had to con it into him. Like I was reading the book while I was lying in bed, and I was just like, hey, just say yes or no to these. And then afterward, he's like, what the hell were you doing? You know, like it was almost like I put a spell on him. And I'm like, no, just asking a question. And then it opened the dialogue, you know, like I didn't ask for permission first. It was just kind of like, you're doing this and you just don't know that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Tom was forward with the Enneagram, but when I brought up the human design, that was a little too woo for him. He's like, you're telling me. that someone can get all this information based upon the energy in the world when you were born. I was like, yes, it is science. It's true. I don't know, Tom, but it makes sense.
All is right in the world, right? Like it just makes sense. Like, yes, it might be wooey, but it makes sense.
Mhm. Anything else, Dawn, that you do that is crunchy or crunchy holistically? What do you want to, whatever you do over there?
Yeah, it's just really looking into that part where at first when I started my journey with it, 'cause I had cancer and all that, so I started looking into the health part of it, and now it's totally flipped to just like, how can you just be? And then it brings in the food part of like, we all know we should eat healthy, but we just don't do it. Well, this is kind of that gap of like figuring out how. So I've helped coach people with their wellness part too, but otherwise it's just like literally just when somebody's interested or they feel stuck, that's where I like to help out, where it's like, hey, this is how you can get past that and then like break the ceiling on your success in business or your marriage or anything. So just kind of feels all encompassing.
Yeah.
AKA holistic lifestyle coach, right? I've titled myself decent, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nailed it.
Because it's a lot of random shit.
But so useful. Well, Courtney, do you have any other burning questions? Or, I mean, usually you have an embarrassing story. Period should be your time to shine, but
Well, I do have one. I was telling you the other day about how I got really upset the other day because I'm on my period. Just the fact that this person exists in this town that I live in. Like, I was so upset. I'm like, why am I so upset today? Oh, it's because that person exists in this town. And then I was like, you need to settle down.
Courtney, I encourage you to share the details of who that person is because it makes it even funnier.
I cannot. Too many local people listen to this. I can't go into the deets.
Gosh, it was
But I
funny.
will tell you after we're done recording. So
thank you. Otherwise the curiosity is gonna kill me over here. Like, I gotta know.
Yes.
And I feel like I already shared my embarrassing period story. That was in episode 2, First Impressions. So if you want to hear this embarrassing period story, go listen to that because it was a doozy.
But I love how confident you were in that, where you were like, you were just rocking that day. I was like, that sounds like Annalise, where she's just like,
owning it.
Yep.
I mean, I say that now at 35 years old, but when I was 17, we were just like, pretend this never happened,
Like, maybe I should change my hair color and they'll think I'm a different person.
Yeah.
I think I can add to that. I did think of a period story of when I was in middle school. It's the only time I was a cheerleader. So it was like 7th grade. It was just a cool thing because you could try out or for something, which I live in the same community I went to school in. It is tiny. Like, you don't need tryouts because everybody gets included, right? We are red and blue, but for the bloomer things that you put on under your skirt, they were white. Why? Why white? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Aunt Flo came to visit, and that was when it was the time where you didn't really know when she'd show up or not, and it was kind of like a guess and check. I didn't win on that one, so a little embarrassing.
Oh, that's a terrible idea. Shame on them for making you wear white bloomers.
Right. Yes, because then everybody just thought like, oh, it's your underwear, amateur middle schoolers are. And it's like, no, trust me, I'm wearing 2 sets of underwear because of these things. Yeah.
Well, gosh. All right. Well, Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us about all the things you know. Do you want to hit everyone again with your social media handles, website, in case they want to get in touch with you?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on. This was a blast. You can find me on Instagram. That is my favorite place to hang out, at dawnmarie.co. That is CO. And then my website's the same. So
awesome. And we'll have this all linked in the show notes. You guys have a day.
You have a day. Thank you so much, Dawn.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us today.
If you had as much fun as we did, would you do us a favor and share this episode with a friend?
Speaking of friends, can we all be friends over on the Instagram? You can find me at modfarmchick.
And me at Mrs. Green Pastures Cattle.
See you next week, guys.